Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today we're going to do a repair up here where the ceiling meets the wall. You can see where the ceiling and the wall have separated. You have a big crack running along through here. You cannot just take spackle and put spackle in that joint right there, because if you put it in there, it may look good for a short period of time, but it's going to wind up cracking and opening up again, and you're going to have a problem. So what we need to do is we need to come up here and clean out any kind of rough edges that are in here right now. So that's what we're going to do. We'll clean off any of the rough edges right here, and then we're going to take something like this. It's a membrane that we need to put up there as well. We're going to take some spackle. We're going to put spackle on this part of the wall, and we're going to put spackle on this part of the ceiling, and then we're going to stick this tape in it, and we're going to smooth it out with a spackling tool. Very important that you use this though. Don't think that you can do it without it, because it's going to wind up cracking and it's going to look horrible. All right, so first thing we're going to do now, we're going to come in here with a scraper and we're going to clean this up here. Now I know this is cracked here. I can feel it because whoever did the job up here, it's a pretty irregular area here, and it's actually, this is up higher than the rest of it, so I don't know what they did exactly, but we're going to repair it so that it will not come back. After we repair this part over here, we're going to come over on the side over here and we're going to do the exact same thing. So let me bring you in, I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then we're going to correct it. This is the crack up in here. You can see, I don't know if you can make it out, but you can see that this is higher up here and lower down over here. So something actually moved a little bit, and as a house settles, this will happen. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come in here, we're going to clean this all out up inside here. So that's a nice straight even corner. And then we're going to come in over here and we're going to do the exact same thing over on this side right here. All right, so tools you're going to need. You're going to need a spackling knife or a scraper, and you're going to need that membrane and some spackle. All right, let's get started and let's get this wrapped up. Now we'll grab our paint scraper or spackling tool and we'll scrape out all of the loose debris that's inside there, so we have a nice flat area so that we can put the tape up there and have a nice straight even line. So you want to make sure you clean out all that debris, even if you open it up and you're taking out some of the other stuff in there. In this particular case, somebody put silicone inside there, so we had to get the silicone out, because silicone is not a good way to repair something like this. You need to have that membrane in there. So we'll just pull it all out, clear it out. You can use a utility knife if you need to, whatever you need to use to clean it. And once we clear it up, we'll get that debris out of there. We'll come in with our tape. We'll use some spackle and some tape, and we'll finish off that joint so it'll be like you never saw it before. Next, after we cleaned it all out and we cleaned all of the loose particles that were up in there out, we measure the length of the tape that we're going to need to put up there, or the membrane. We apply a thin coat of spackle with the spackling knife on both the wall and on the ceiling. After we put it on there, we just take our membrane, push it into that area where the ceiling and the wall come together, so that way the membrane is in between there on the ceiling and the wall. And we just smooth it out with our spackling knife or spackling tool until it's nice and smooth. Remember, the smoother you get it now, the less sanding or wet sanding you're going to have to do in the future. So try to get it as smooth as you possibly can. And then we'll take off any of the excess that's on the wall that we don't need. We can take out of there, because like I said, it'll be less sanding later on. Clear it all out. Now you can see I'm putting the other spackling tool up against the ceiling, because on this particular corners, it's very difficult to wind up doing a finish coat on the wall and the ceiling at the same time. So we're going to finish the wall first, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up the ceiling, so it'll be a perfect job. Now we're just going to let this dry. Once it dries thoroughly, we'll come in here and we'll hit it with the sandpaper or the wet rag, clean off all of that excess material that's on there. We'll put our finish coat on there, and then we'll finish it off. And this is the other side as well. Exact same thing. We just have to wait for it to dry. Once it dries, we'll hit it with the wet rag, clean off the little pieces that are still on there, put the finish coat on, and then this job will be finished. And they'll never crack in that seam again. Now we'll take our wet rag and we'll clean off all of the excess spackling that is around on the area where we're working. You can use sandpaper if you choose to. I'm using the rag because it's less of a mess to clean up later on, but you can use sandpaper if you choose to. Once we have all of the bumps and all the imperfections out, we're going to come up and we're going to put some spackling up on the ceiling to finish this job off. Now keep in mind that if you feel there's a little bit of a bump in it or is a little bit of a small depressed area, you can come back in here and put an additional coat of spackle on there, and you would just repeat the same exact process that we're doing right now. So if you need to, it's perfectly fine. You can after it dries thoroughly. Now once you finish off the wall with the sandpaper or the wet rag and it's nice and smooth and you feel that all the imperfections are removed, we come up here with our bigger spackling knife and we put our finishing coat up on the ceiling. And remember, we're going to smooth it out, so because the more you smooth it out now, the less sanding you're going to have to do once this dries thoroughly. So we're going to finish this off, we'll let it dry, and once it comes and dries out, we'll come back, wipe it down one more time with the wet rag, and finish it off, and it'll be finished. Remember, you want to try to get it as smooth as you possibly can. The less bumps that you have in it now, the less the cleanup you'll have to do once this thoroughly dries with the wet rag and the sandpaper. So take your time and get it as smooth as you possibly can. Once it's dry, we come in here with our wet rag one more time, wet rag or sandpaper, whatever you prefer, and just wipe it down until you don't feel any bumps or any kind of lumps or any kind of imperfections in the spackle that you just put up. You're going to use your hand to find out if there's any imperfections, because with the rag you can't feel it. With the sandpaper you won't be able to feel it either. So use your hand to rub the wall and the spackle where it comes together to make sure it's a nice small or nice even transition. Next, we're going to let it dry thoroughly. We're going to make sure it's nice and smooth. Once it's dry and you feel like there's no more little imperfections, there's a nice transition, then you would come in here and you would do your painting over the top of it. But that's it. This job is done, and on to the next. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.